Welcome to TV Toastmasters for our May 21st meeting, and I'd like to welcome everyone in the studio and in the audience. We meet the first Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock and the third Saturday of the month at 10:15. And you're welcome to come join us. You people who are looking at home, you can come join us and see what Toastmasters is all about. We'd love to have you. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting today. And if I didn't mention it, we meet at 7850 5 Mile Road in Anderson Township. I'd like to get our meeting started today by welcoming our guest today, Gabe Papura, and we will be hearing from her later. And my first order of business is to welcome the Toastmaster, who will be Veronica Sanford. And Veronica is returning. She was one of our members, and she's coming back again.
Da 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 da. So today we are introducing our word of the day grammarian. His name is Steve Ehrenholz, and he is the master mess resolver. Please welcome Steve Ehrenholz. He'll describe to you what that role entails.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our honored guest, and those of you looking in from home. As our Toastmaster mentioned, my title is Master Mess Resolver. She came around before our meeting started and wanted to know if we had a particular title. And I thought, I don't know. It's too early to give you a title that I've put a lot of thought into. But it seems like at times we have things happen in our day-to-day lives that are a mess, and you have to resolve them. And when you get good at it, people start to rely on you for doing that. Anyhow, I am today's word power. I'm going to be introducing a word for us to use today, which I think may be a bit of a challenge. I'm also the grammarian and counter, so I'm going to be watching, or actually listening, for various grammatical faux pas and some of the crutches that we like to use. I connect things into run-on sentences. Those are some of my favorites. We'll find out what everybody else does today. The word for today, and which you would want to try and use during the course of our meeting if you have a speaking role, is cipher. Cipher is a noun, and it can mean a zero, one that has no weight, worth, or influence, a non-entity. It's a method of transforming a text in order to conceal its meaning, such as a message in code. So an example would be that the strategy that was going to be used in the contest was distributed using a cipher to participants. So the word for today is cipher, and I'm going to leave it up here on the table. Hopefully that'll remind people that that's the word of today, and they'll think, how am I going to use that? Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Steve. I am going to try to use the word cipher to decipher the meaning. That's a cheat. You have to actually really use it. So we have Carol Kormelink is going to be doing Tabletopics today. She has been a member for 20 years. She's been a member of Toastmasters for 20 years, and she has watched new members go from scaredy cat to wanting to be called on Toastmasters. Carol Kormelink. Let's hope her Tabletopics word is not a cipher.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And the purpose of Tabletopics is to catch you off guard, not to embarrass you, but when your boss asks you that question and you get brain freeze because you weren't expecting it, this teaches you how to answer an unexpected question, not of your choosing, and gives you time to think about what you're saying instead of having your brain freeze. Listening to, and when you come up here, the challenge is to use the word of the day, to use cipher, a zero that has no weight, worth, or influence, a non-entity. I will try to use cipher in my Tabletopics here. When you come up, the challenge is to use the word of the day, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to think about what you're going to say. You have to listen. It's a great exercise in listening and thinking and then speaking. And I said I've never had a filtered thought in my life, so it's taught me something new. My first question of the day made me think of when Steve is a mess minder. I teach a class on clean up the clutter. And one of the things I would like to know is when you have a pile of clutter, what is one of the things that you do to make yourself clean it up when you don't feel like doing it? Emily Garrett.
Thank you. Pile of clutter. I live a somewhat cluttered existence. I really need everything to be clean around me, so I really need very little motivation to clean it up. If there's a mess, I hang up my clothes and I put my laundry in the basket, and I'm not one of those that throws things around, but I have a very active brain. I think, and it goes in different directions, and I think about different things, and I read halves of books, and I keep them out in case I'm going to finish them. I have a stack of 10 or 12 that I need to finish, and so even though everything's clean underneath, I have clutter around because I'm working on all that stuff. So my motivation, and as I look around the room and I think, this looks cluttered, what can I clean up, what can I get rid of? And I'll try, but really I'm good at cleaning the things underneath, and I'm working on all the rest of it, all the things. I have books that always need to be put on the shelf, but there's no room because I keep buying more of them. So my motivation is easy to clean it up, but some of it's just going to have to stay because I need that stuff and I need to know where it is.
Thank you. I say that if you have a pile of stuff and you can find what you want when you want it, it's not a mess. My next question is, I know a lot of us, we're very busy. We hardly have time to do anything, but we need time to unplug and relax our minds and do things. And so my question is, what is your favorite way to waste time? Steve Aaron Holtz.
Thank you, Madam Tabletopics Master. What is my favorite way to waste time? Actually, I don't think wasting time is something that I deliberately try to do. When I have a little bit of spare time or I have a pause because I'm waiting for something, I prefer to use it to reflect on something that I need to put some deliberate thought into, but it's parked in the back of my brain somewhere, and I need to focus, so that's what I will do. Or the other thing that I've been trying to do over the last several years is be more mindful, practice mindfulness. So rather than wasting time, what I will do is I try to focus on what's going on around me, what are things like. The question is, where are you and what time is it? The answer is, you are in the here and now, and so you are looking at things, just examining stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily do, or pay attention to your breathing. Those are some of the things that I like to try and do. Enjoy the moment, and it actually takes some effort to do it. Let go of all those things in your mind that are driving you nuts. Be mindful. Practice some mindfulness. Madam Tabletopics Master?
Thank you for that great advice. A lady at our club the other day made us unplug. As you unplug the computer so it can restart, she turned out the lights, had us visualize, and made us actually unplug, and paying attention to the breathing was what she had said, made us do. So thank you for that great answer. My next question is, I like to find things, I'm a a sponge. I take in a lot of things that I've never heard about before, and I don't know what they are, but I like to find out about things and learn a lot more. And I would like to ask Gay, I know that she does something different, and I would like to ask Gay to tell us about what she does. Yes.
Thank you, Madam. No, you're not the Toastmaster.
Tabletop.
You're the tabletop. Well, my name is Gay Purpura, and since I met you, I am doing a few different things. I am a coach. I coach people in breath work and meditation. And I'm also a licensed heart math coach. Heart Math is an institute that does research on the value of becoming coherent. And coherent means in the zone. You achieve that with biofeedback equipment and a certain kind of breath, and you focus on your heart and activate a positive feeling in your heart. That the science behind this will register your actual heart beat. It will go into a coherent mode, and you start producing different hormones, and you stop producing cortisol, the bad hormone, but you produce all kinds of good hormones, and you actually can self-regulate. So the short and sophisticated term for this is resilience training, but you can also call it getting a stress reduction. So I'm a cipher at this club, so you'll have to forgive me if I am stumbling. I'm not used to this, but I enjoy it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You even got in the word of the day, and I'm glad that to know about you. I went to a breath coach years and years ago because I hold my breath so much, and I still find myself holding my breath. And I was a shallow breather. My chest went out rather than my stomach. So I thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the table topics, learned some good information. Madam Toastmaster.
Can we stop for a second?
Welcome back. So now we have Lissa Goble, who's going to be coming up and doing her icebreaker speech. That is the first speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. If and when you come and join, then you will be given a Competent Communicator Manual and a Competent Leadership Manual. You can go into the Leadership Manual later, but I will say that it's very exciting. There are 10 exciting projects, and she is starting off on her first. Please welcome Lissa Goble.
From an early age, I knew I had a sense of adventure when it came to traveling and leaving the comfort of my family. My family did not travel much when I was younger. I would be the first to go to summer camp. I would be the first to go on a school trip. I would be the first to go on a plane and then leave the country and ultimately move more than 120 miles away. My adventures have taken me near and far and have allowed me to grow along the way. My first adventure was a school trip to Washington, D.C. I traveled by plane with my high school journalism class for a conference. I had no idea what to expect on my first flight. With that first bump of turbulence, both a thrill and a chill went up my spine. The next week, I explored the nation's capital with my friends. I took a little side adventure with a few friends and hopped the subway and went and rescued a teddy bear that was left in the hotel. This was soon to become known as the Great Cinnamon Chase. My next big adventure, I joined 34 of my college classmates on a senior trip to the Bahamas. We set sail on a cruise ship from Fort Lauderdale. The ocean was so rocky that you could barely make it back from the bar to your seat with a frozen cocktail intact. Once we embarked on Grand Bahama Island, I spent 7 glorious nights in paradise sightseeing, parasailing, snorkeling, and I even got to try out scuba diving, which I would soon become to love in my near future. The next several years were filled with trips to Florida, playing volleyball tournaments, New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and a backpacking trip in Yosemite. In 2005, I decided to leave Cincinnati and move to Los Angeles for my career. My now husband and I packed a U-Haul and moved and set out across country, more than 2,300 miles away. I'll never forget my first impression as we were sitting in traffic for 2 hours once we entered Los Angeles. The mountain to the east of us was a blazing ball of fire. I would soon experience 2 other firsts that week. My boss's Mercedes was hijacked on his way to work. And then a plane landed on the highway near work. The following year, I experienced a murder in my apartment complex. I'll never forget recalling the situation and the details to my mother over the phone as the helicopters were swirling above and the police officers were gathering in the parking lot pointing rifles at a neighbor's door. On a positive note, I did get certified in scuba diving while I lived in Los Angeles. This then took me to Belize, where I explored the underwater world. The coral was beautiful, the fish were colorful, and the sea turtles were majestic. I immediately fell in love. My career started to take off, and I got an opportunity to move to New York and take a job at Pepsi-Cola. The day that we left California, it was 85 and sunny. I landed in New York after being stuck in airports for 2 days due to an ice storm that had hit the East Coast. As we traveled to our new home with a half a foot of snow and ice and single-digit temperatures, I thought to myself, what did we do? Once we settled into our lives and career, we decided to get married. Instead of a big wedding back here in Cincinnati, we chose to go to Jamaica with 38 of our closest family and friends. This was probably my most memorable trip so far. Not only did I get to marry my best friend and someone who shares the same passion for travel as I am, I got to spend this week in this beautiful island with my closest family, many of them who had never left the country before. Once again, a career opportunity came about that would take me home. While I loved living in other parts of the country, I did miss my family and I missed Cincinnati. I decided I would continue my adventures and travel as much as possible from CVG. Over the next few years, I traveled to the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, and my most recent trip and furthest to the Maldives. After a 14-hour flight and a misconnection in Qatar, we finally reached our final destination. Over the next 10 days, I spent relaxing in an over-the-water bungalow and scuba diving with my husband. The blacktip reef sharks were quite friendly when they would greet us every morning at the foot of our steps that entered the Indian Ocean. My trips, moves, and adventures have taken me near and far. I value the experiences that they have given me, and they left me desiring more. I always have my bags packed and ready to go. Next on the horizon is a new type of adventure, one where I will travel with my in-laws to Italy this June. Stay tuned.
Wow, what an adventurous life. That is so exciting. I'm a little bit of a scuba diver. I can say that. And what a beautiful story. And I can imagine what it was like for you in Los Angeles. I've lived in Los Angeles myself. Very scary.
Have a story that others need to hear? Seeking an audience for your message? Have an experience that can transform the lives of others? Practice your message and perfect its delivery in a TV studio while creating content for regional, national, and international exposure. That's right, get seen by an ever-increasing audience. Visit tvtoastmasters.com for the Anderson Club location dates and times. Go ahead, what's the best that can happen?
Welcome back. Before we start the introduction for our second speaker, I want to share some advice that I was just been given about getting over yourself. If you're super nervous, like I was, then if you think Get over yourself. It's not so important. The world will not collapse if I don't do a perfect job. I like that. Great get reminder. So starting now with cipher, that is, we're starting with a 0, we are going to have our next speaker, which is Gwendolyn Niesen, and her speech is number 4 in the Competent Communicator Manual. The speech project is How to Say It, and her speech is Express Yourself. Express yourself. Gwendolyn Niesen.
I'm not sure that I like being introduced as a cipher, but what I'm about to talk about is your feelings, so these are not something that you consider to be a cipher because they are very valuable. The point I want to make is how important expressing your feelings are. Expressing your emotions leads to a healthy, happy life. The best example I can think of is the life of Helen Keller. She was the girl who was born deaf and blind. And during her early years, she had such extraordinary behavior problems or challenges from her parents that she was literally unmanageable. She would hit and kick and scream. That was her way of communicating. Her behavior continued to escalate until her parents found a way to help her communicate and express her feelings. Once Helen Keller learned the language of sign language and her ability to connect with her feelings and to express them to others, all her behavior problems literally disappeared. The next example I can think of is the way infants react to the world. Infants will cry and let you know when they need something. They will yell as loud as they need to in order to get fed, to be held, or to be changed. If children or infants aren't attended to, eventually they will stop expressing themselves. If they do that, then they aren't able to thrive. Some, if they receive no attention, will not survive. This doesn't change even as we grow older. It is imperative for our health and well-being to be able to connect with others and to be able to express our feelings. The purpose of expressing ourselves is to make a heart connection with each other. Emotional connections are our lifeblood, why we are here, to encourage each other and to lift each other up and to be connected. Many people attempt to suppress their feelings or hide them or to pretend they have cipher feelings. This only leads to further problems in their lives, including mental health problems. The number one reason people suffer from depression is because they are not connected with others or are isolated from their own feelings. Expressing your feelings is a creative way to decode what is going on in your world. When we feel something, our bodies often, like right now, when I'm standing in front of everybody, I feel a little nervous. So my voice is a little shaky. Sometimes I might get a knot in my stomach, or if I'm nervous, or a lump in my throat, maybe a headache. When we get those feelings, it's our body's way of saying we have an emotion that needs to be expressed. When we don't express that feeling, then the symptom that we're having can actually get worse. I found that if we add words to our emotions to describe them, we're able to better connect with them ourselves, so then we're able to communicate those to other people. If we're feeling happy, we might use the word like sunny. If we're feeling lonely, we might use a word like shivering. When we're feeling giddy or playful, we might associate the childlike feelings with those, or words with those. Developing a positive understanding of our emotions helps us to accept them for what they are. When we have those feelings or those feelings in our body that's telling us there's something going on, we have to ask ourselves questions about the relationships we're in. Do I feel loved? Do I feel valued? Do I feel I'm going to be abandoned? Are the people in my life trustworthy or not? When we ask ourselves these questions, we're able to tap into our own emotions. It's important to have people in your life that you feel safe with to express those emotions. So sharing your feelings is a sign of maturity, a sign that you are able to understand yourself and are willing to understand other people. Expressing our feelings is the quickest way to help us grow and have strong, healthy relationships.
Thank you, Gwendolyn. Now we're going to take a 1-minute break for the evaluator to write their evaluations. Welcome back. We've now given the evaluators time to evaluate those 2 fine speeches. Thank you very much. And now we run into the general evaluator section. I happen to be both the Tabletopics master, the Toastmaster, as well as the general evaluator today. The general evaluator introduces the evaluators, also the timer and the grammarian. I will roll into that momentarily. Then I also evaluate the meeting as a whole. Or what I'd like to do is introduce Rick Barron, who is going to be our evaluator for Lissa Goble. Rick Barron.
Thank you. Rome, sweet home. Nope, we're not sending everybody to Italy. What we're doing today is we're learning about Lissa Goble's life. And Larissa, you did a fabulous job today of picking a specific theme within your life and using that as a way to tell your story. In many cases, icebreakers can be really boring, facts and figures. I went here, I did this, I worked this place. But what you did is you wrapped it around all the different locations that you went. And then you talked about specific experiences that you had and things that you did while you were at those locations. You made it nice and personal, and you gave us something that we could all relate to. The story started off with a great opening around from an early age, and you went on. The story then had a great body where you went in and identified each of the locations that you had visited, and then a conclusion at the end where you said, you know what, I'm ready for new adventures. And you're probably going to be hearing about them at Toastmasters when I take my trip to Italy, right? Great opening to help us figure out what was coming next. Good strong points. You're an excellent storyteller, very good storyteller, and I love the way you use language. The thrill and the chill, the rocky ocean, the blazing ball of fire. You threw some phrases like that in there that really allowed us to visualize what it was that you were talking about. Your first speech, we expected you to use notes. What I noticed is you started with the notes and then got into the story and didn't even need to look down. You talked and talked and talked and talked, and then got someplace where you needed to go back down and use the notes. And so I think at some point in time, you're just going to get to the point where the stories flow. And all you do is you look to make sure, what was going to be next on the list kind of thing. I saw that from you, that you're a wonderful storyteller. The only piece of advice that I could give you in terms of how to make the speech better or more memorable, just slow down a little. I know you're up here. It's the first one. that you're nervous. It's like, how do I get this over with, right? There was some great content, and in some cases, just slowing it down just a little bit would have allowed some of that stuff to just sink in a little bit deeper. I think you made a fabulous choice in coming to TV Toastmasters because it gives you a chance to see how good you currently are right now and watch that transformation that occurs as you get to see it on video. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Very memorable and something I know that I look forward to hearing what happens in Italy. It's done all that.
Thank you, Rick Barrett. Rick is also the cameraman today, and so he is doing double duty. He volunteered. Our next evaluator will be Emily Garrett, and she will be evaluating Gwendolyn Niesen's fourth speech. I will say that we use the sandwich effect here, where we say something, all the positive, something that could be improved, and then something positive again, so you're left with a good taste in your mouth. Please welcome Emily Garrett. Thank you.
How to Say It is the project and I love this project because you really get to practice vivid descriptions of things and use your words to paint pictures for people. And I love pictures in my mind. And Gwendolyn did a great job with that. Even though she's talking about feelings and emotions, I could picture everything she was talking about. She really used great words to do that, but also two really good examples. Her story of Helen Keller and how communicating and expressing herself fixed her behavior problems, and infants who cry to get what they need. So she started off with the two great examples to let us understand where she was going with it. I think that I would suggest, though, the opening to be an opportunity to draw people in, and if you focus somehow in your opening on the audience, like with a rhetorical question or something, I don't have an example. I should. Or have you, just to put, instead of like which I've heard from other evaluators, instead of an I message in your opening, a you message. Have you ever not understood why your child is acting this way or something like that, and then it could be that they're just trying to communicate and you just don't know what they're trying to say. Something like that, a question and that draws people in, like, yeah, my kids are crazy. I don't know why. So that would be my suggestion, and I felt like the speech was really well organized. I could follow you. It flowed very easily. You started with your opening. You did your two examples. Then a why not expressing yourself can cause problems. Then a personal example of how you are expressing yourself physically and how to read that. And then advice for the audience, how to recognize and handle physical feelings we get and express them. And then your conclusion of how it helps us grow and have healthy relationships. So it was very easy to see where you were going and see the organization of the speech. It was really great, and I enjoy your speeches, Gwendolyn, because you pick great topics that, I mean, they're right there in front of us, but other people don't see that that's a great speech topic. So I really love your topics, and I look forward to your next speech.
Thank you, Emily. Well done. Our next role that we're going to hear from our membership is Steve Aaron Holtz. He is the grammarian, and he's been counting word of the day and our ums, ahs, so's, duck clutches, and everything else that we do. Steve, please welcome Steve.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our guests, and those watching in from home. The role as grammarian and counter means that I have to really listen to what people are saying, as well as sometimes what they're not saying, or at least not saying well. I think what happens with this process is we become sensitized to some of the things that we do. And as a result of that, we try to avoid those. If you're like me, you just replace it with something else, and then you have something else to get rid of. I'm going to put together my counting, my grammarian report, and word of the day tallies as I go through the different people's speaking roles that we had today. Veronica, as our Toastmaster and General Evaluator, you've done very well. I have not heard any ahs. I did notice that one of the things you like to use, which I can relate to, is so. You attach things with so, or you start with so, or you end with so. Oh, it's such a handy little thing. You used the word of the day twice. Very good. Carol, as our Table Topics person, when you were opening the Table Topics session, you had an interesting construction. You had that it was introducing our listening to, and then you had a break and when. You had a fragment there that I didn't quite know what to do with. For our Table Topics speakers, Emily, you are into I have today.
Okay.
And you repeated I several times. But as I was listening to you, I noticed you'd have this I have, and I have no room, and I thought, oh my. For myself, I didn't think I had any ahs, and I don't know that I used so too generously, but since I'm keeping track of it all, I get a pass. Gay, you did really well. I was really impressed. Only 3 ahs. Overall, I thought you were ah deficient, especially for someone just visiting us. You had the word of the day as well, which was really great. And I liked your resilience training or stress reduction. That was Table Topics. Larissa, for your icebreaker, as Rick pointed out in his evaluation, you had a couple of phrases that you used that were really nice as far as like the word picture or a sense of the emotion that it would convey, especially the thrill and chill that went up your spine. I thought, oh yes, you know what you're talking about when a person hears that. Let me see what else. You had only 1 ah, which was really good. I mean, I thought I'd hear a few more than that. You had a couple places where you had a break. One of them was and moved, set out to, or set out on. So you sort of switched the way you were going in that statement. Let me see what else I had. Oh, and I thought the line you had about making it back to your seat with a frozen cocktail intact gave me a pretty good idea of what the ship was doing. Gwen, as for your speech, I have down here that you used the word of the day twice, and I'm not exactly sure where you used it, but I was marking it down here. I really didn't have any grammatical comments on your speech, your presentation, so good job. No ahs, no ums. Let me see what else I have here. Okay, for evaluations. Rick, I liked your Rome Sweet Home. You had 1 Okay, let me see. One of the sentences you had, which I thought was a bit overboard, you had how good you currently are right now. Currently is right now. And Emily, in your evaluation, you had 8 restarts or repetitions. I don't know whether you were trying to organize your thoughts and your mouth was running ahead of your thoughts or what.
Mercury's still retrograde.
But I didn't detect any ahs or ums. So everyone did a good job today. There was my so. We are connecting our words, our sentences together, and of course I'm a fond fan of run-on sentences, but we don't need to do it. Adam, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Steve. Always so positive and friendly. Yeah. As well as our other members. Now I would like to introduce Vicki Hart, and she is our timer today, and she's going to be giving us our timer report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, everyone did very well on the time, except the timekeeper was a little new at this, so needs a little more practice. First of all, our first speaker, Lissa Goble, had her time allotment was 4 to 6 minutes, and she took 4. Well, I actually started a little late on that one, but so I think it was a little more time, but I have down here 4:16. And then Gwendolyn, Niesen, her time allotment was 5 to 7 minutes, and you had the time of 5 minutes and 31 seconds. So you were within your time. Speaker on the table topics, Emily Garrett, the time allotment for her was 1 to 2 minutes. She was within her time frame at 1 minute and 29 seconds. Steve Ehrenholtz also commented. He stayed within the time frame of 1 minute 34 seconds. And Gay was also in. She was 1 minute and 44 seconds. On the evaluations, Rick Barron, evaluator number 1, the time allotment was 2 to 3 minutes, and he was at 3. He was a little over 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Emily Garrett had her time taken was 2 minutes and 48 seconds. And that's it. Good job.
This is one of our newest members, recently joined members. She did a really great job. One of the things that we learned with Toastmasters is how to be a leader, how to run meetings professionally. Part of that is keeping time, starting and ending on time, having a clean agenda, obviously, doing evaluations that are encouraging but also foster growth, allowing people who have opinions and ideas, good ideas, to speak eloquently. That's what we do as Toastmasters. I'm now going to be giving my grammarian report. Steve did a great job with that, but a general evaluator report. Because we are TV Toastmasters and we record our meeting on video, we also have an additional function that many Toastmasters clubs don't have. So because of that, we started 10 minutes late at 10:40 rather than 10:30. And we also had a member emergency. So we had a little bit of a change of roles because he had to leave to help a friend. Rick Barron gave a really professional evaluation. He did what's called the sandwich effect, where he gave positive comments and then a little bit of how to make your speech even better. Then, again, more positive encouragement. And then Emily Garrett did the same thing with Gwendolyn's speech, and she added, she just added great comments. So I don't have much encouragement or other than to continue to do a great job. I will say that Rick Barron is a competitor in terms of evaluation. So you can see that the way he structures his evaluation is almost a story or a speech in itself. Some evaluators will actually just read from the comments in the book, which is what we do as beginning evaluators. Neither one of our evaluators did that. I will also say that one other comment that I can make in order to help to eliminate filler words is to breathe, to take a quick breath rather than saying to fill it up. So a silence is a nice pause. It gives your meeting impact. People can wait to listen to what you're trying to say. Now, as a Toastmaster, as I shift from General Evaluator to Toastmaster, I would like to welcome comments from our guest. Gabe Pearl, would you like to come up and say what you thought about your Toastmaster meeting?
I thought this was a very exciting experience and very well organized. I loved the speeches and hearing all the new information and seeing how all the roles are just in place. So I liked the flow of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabe. For me, Toastmasters is important. If you're out in TV land watching this or on YouTube, on the internet, I encourage you to find a Toastmasters club and practice. So many of us feel impotent. We feel like a cipher because we have ideas about how the world should change, but we feel powerless to do so. TV Toastmasters is special because not only do we get practice in speaking our words, our ideas, our passions, but we also get a chance to get that out into the public. Our president will also speak and encourage you to come to TV Toastmasters. So if you're local to Cincinnati, or even within a driving distance of Cincinnati, please come and visit us. Madam President.
Thank you, Veronica. And I am the presiding officer in the absence of the president. Each one of us at Toastmasters touches someone else's life. Veronica touched my life in that when we have two parts of Toastmasters, communication and leadership. When the leadership manual came out, I looked at that and went, this is too complicated, I'm not going to do this. Veronica, she deciphered it for me, went around giving speeches, and people are today using and getting benefit out of the leadership manual that because of Veronica. She made a whole difference in how well our division is doing, and in fact our entire district uses the CL manual. And most people, until it's explained to them, they look at that and say, it's too complicated, I can't do that. One of the new things in Toastmasters, we're revitalizing our education program, and we're learning 10 traits of a competent communicator, 10 traits of a leader. In the new program, we are learning competencies, and there's 78 in one track and 83 in the other. And we will be learning lots of new things. Each person will be on a different track, and it's going to be very exciting. And I thank Veronica for helping me get more out of the leadership portion of Toastmasters. I thank everyone for being here. I think we had a very good meeting. The agenda, we've changed most of the roles that we had here at the last minute, and that's one of the things you learn. I used to be thrown if something was different on the agenda, that threw me and I couldn't think anymore. And now it's just as natural that we just step in and fill the role and don't let it throw us. And thank you for all that leadership, Veronica. And I thank everyone else for what you contributed. I thank the speakers. I always learn from the speakers and enjoy it. And word of the day, cipher is a different word there, even though everybody knows a cipher is a 0 or 1 or 2 or a number. That was very interesting to hear that used as the word of the day. And I thank Rick, wears several hats during the meeting. Not only does he run the camera and the sound, he also did an evaluation today. And I just am very appreciative. We like to grow our club. We have openings. If you would like to come visit and see what it's all about and see how you like us, feel free to do that. And with that, and I won't bang the thing this time, the gavel, I now call the meeting to a close.
Have a story that others need to hear? Seeking an audience for your message? Have an experience that can transform the lives of others? Practice your message and perfect its delivery in a TV studio while creating content for regional, national, and international exposure. That's right, get seen by an ever-increasing audience. Visit tvtoastmasters.com for the Anderson Club location dates and times. Go ahead, what's the best that can happen?